Hey, welcome back. This is the Helpful Home Inspector, Matt Yake, up in Hartford, Wisconsin, down in our studio, and I got a special guest in here today. We have Shawn Mangan of Lifetime Roof Chimney out of Germantown, and Shawn and I, we go way back, man. We've been knowing each other for a long time now. Yeah. Shawn is going to come in today, and we're going to be talking a lot about roofing basics and things like that, but we're going to go through our regular stuff, our tip of the day, your save a buck, all that kind of fun stuff will be on the show today. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. If you wouldn't mind, take a moment to hit the subscribe button down below, hit that bell notification to let us make you aware when we put out new content, and a thumbs up if you like our episode today. We really appreciate it. Also, if you have any questions about your house, whether it's about roofing and specific questions about roofs or chimneys that you'd like to ask Shawn, or you just have a question that you want to find out from a certified master inspector, give us a call, or you can drop a line on the comments there, and we'll be happy to help you out in any way that we can to make your project or your home go a little bit smoother. All right. So the first thing we're going to cover today is we're going to cover our defect of the week. So we obviously, as a home inspector company, we come up with a lot of interesting and sometimes funky defects. The one today is something that we come across very regularly, but I have yet to discuss it on any video of our 150 some odd videos or any of our live shows, and that is drain configurations or poor plumbing drains. And we come across them all the time, whether they're leaking, they're not leaking, whatever, ventilation issues, there's all kinds of funky stuff, okay? But check this one out. Come on, man.
So, some serious craftsmanship there.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, that is somebody going to Menards, talking to the 16-year-old kid. Right. And it's like, hey, man, how can I do this plumbing thing? And he's like, well, you
put these two pieces together.
Yeah. And you can go anywhere with it, man. It bends all over the place. See this? And it's like, holy cow. I really wish they would not even sell these things, you guys. Tammy, bring that back up again for me, would you? Those flexible drains, you guys, every one of those little creases in there is going to leak. I promise you, it's going to leak, okay? Also, if you try to go in and stick anything in there to clean it, you're going to jab right through the side of it and just make a worse problem for yourself. What we're talking about when we do PVC drains like that, it's just buying the right pieces, you know?
Right. It's something smooth.
Yeah.
Everything's getting caught in those ridges.
Oh yeah. If you've ever cleaned out your wife's hair clog out of a drain, yes. Oh my... Yeah, it's disgusting. But those drains, you guys, the pieces that they make at the store, they make them longer than they need to, and they have a compression fitting on there. You can slide back and forth to give yourself some maneuverability, but still make a good, tight, smooth-walled connection. And it doesn't take a lot, you know. It's just an extra 15 minutes in the aisle, you know. Maybe watching a YouTube video or something, you can be an expert pretty quickly, you know. But buying something flexible like that, listening to the 16-year-old kid, nothing against 16-year-old kids at Menards. I'm glad they're working, you know, work hard. But you want to get a little bit better education than that. And when you're doing that kind of stuff for your house, not only is it costing you money to buy that stuff, but now you're going to have to fix it eventually, you know, and do it the right way. When if you had done it the right way in the first time, wouldn't be having the issue. Also, don't use plumber's dope, pipe dope, you know? Yeah, oh my gosh, that epoxy dope.
They don't use that anymore.
Oh my gosh, they'll mix it up and then they'll shove it in there. Hey, it doesn't leak, you know, or electrical tape or duct tape. I'm like, it doesn't take a lot to do a good plumbing drain.
Little rubber gaskets, all you need.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. But, so that is our defect of the week. And the next thing we got is the save a buck. So save a buck, it's getting into that time of year, you guys, making sure your gutters are clean. We had a hailstorm up here 2 weeks ago, something like that. And maybe 3 weeks ago, April 19th it was. But, you just see all the hail balls filling up your gutters or whatever, and the water just flowing over. It was killing me. I'm like, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, I know my gutters are clean. It's just all filled up with this hail, so there's nothing I could do about it. And just dying to see all that water go right next to the foundation.
Well, you guys had about 2 inches here, right?
Yeah. Of hail.
Yeah. It's built up.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. And the sump pump kicked on, hasn't kicked on in years, you know, and I'm like, oh, this better not happen, you know. And the sump pump worked, thankfully everything did its job, but it was like, ugh. But you guys, all those pollens and things that are falling out of the tree are going to clog up your gutters. So clean them out. Keep those gutters nice and clean to get moving that water to where it's supposed to go instead of going next to your house. It's an easy job when you take care of it on a regular basis. When you let it go and you let it clump up to this hard mass, that's when you're up on the ladder with a little gutter shovel and whatever else. Oh my gosh, just doing yourself a disservice. Go out and get an extender for your shop vac or not for your shop vac, for your leaf blower, and just walk your house once or twice a month. It's not that hard, and then it'll just blow right out of there, and you won't have an issue. But yeah, definitely.
Or you can get gutter guards.
Or
that
gutter guards.
Too.
Gutter guards help a lot. Yeah, I mean, especially with big leaf situations, if you have a lot of trees and
especially
stuff.
Got the helicopter trees, boy, those will kill everything.
Those will clog that up like a heartbeat, right? Yeah. But the gutter guards are good, but some people think that they put them on there and they don't have to ever clean their gutters.
You
again.
still got to clean them. That's something that you don't understand. The fine particulates at the bottom, they'll build up and clog up. It might take a little bit longer, but then it's even a worse pain to take care of it at that point. Yeah.
And the gutter guards are an expense, but it does make you not have to clean them as frequently, and less likely that you're going to have a clog of sorts. So, but it does not eliminate your need for cleaning and stuff like that. Yeah. So, clean those gutters out. Get nice and clean and keep them clean. Especially during the rainy periods, we want to make sure that we're moving that water to where it can safely disperse into the soil and not get into your foundation or flood your home. A flooded basement is a new furnace, a new water heater. It's probably foundation damage. It's all kinds of problems. So you just don't want to mess with anything like that. Now, as far as our topic of the day and why we have Shawn here today, Shawn, you've been doing roofing and chimneys for.
I've been in business for 26 years
26 years. That's a long time, man. Yeah. And primarily these days, Shawn's been doing a lot of chimney work because he's really good at that. And there's not a lot of good guys around that do that kind of work,
That's true. There's more work than there are guys out there to do it. That's for sure.
For sure. I mean, you can go out and find, you can throw a rock and hit a roofing company these days. Just because they can charge so much right now.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
They're all popping up all over the place.
Back when I was big into the roofing, the rates weren't anything close to the profit margin you're making nowadays.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, when I talked to a client yesterday and they were getting their roof replaced or whatever, and she's like $27,000. I'm like, is this like a huge house? She's like, oh no, it's just a 1-story ranch. I'm like,
I know. What? I ran into a lady who got charged $35,000 for a 25 square 1-layer tear off. Low pitch.
Holy cow!
That's
low pitch too.
That's $1,000 a square plus,
dude. Guys would be falling over themselves to get those jobs. Well, they don't have to don't have to deal with any steep stuff or whatever. You don't have to deal with all the safety stuff. You don't have to worry about OSHA as much.
Well, it depends how many people you're getting bids from. Because a lot of times you'll get people that are bidding fairly normal because they're having their own crews do the work and not subbing it. Yep. And a lot of times if you get enough, you can get probably close to half of that knocked off.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, and that's a lesson. I mean, whenever you have a large repair item that need to do your home, get multiple bids.
Yeah.
Get a number of guys out there. And the guys that are good are all going to be saying the same thing. They're all going to be offering you the same product and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, most of those even the ones that are costing twice as much, they are still using the exact same products. There's just more salesmen, more overhead.
Yep.
And, everyone's got to make their bucks. So you can find someone that actually has their own guys.
Yep.
You're going to save all that money.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about the guys that are showing up at your house, you don't want the guy that's got a bunch of holes in his truck or whatever and is just ripped jeans and just a mess. That's not the person you want. You also don't want the guy that shows up with the fancy car, and the lettering all over it. And he's dressed to the nines, and comes out in his polo shirt and his little neck shirt or whatever.
Right.
That's not the guy you want either, because you got to pay his salary and he's not going to get on that roof and do anything. You want that guy that's going to be in the middle. It's going to charge you a fair price. You don't want the bottom dollar guy. You don't want the top dollar guy. The guy in the middle.
Yeah, those are harder and harder to find nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, a lot of the upselling that happens is with warranty services, warranty guarantees, and all that kind of stuff. And
right now, all shingles are basically considered a limited lifetime warranty, which is, I guess they won't give you an exact number, but it's between 35 and 50 years.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why they changed it to go in that direction, because they used to be 25-year, 40-year, and 50-year, and now they just lumped into one thing and pick a number. It must be protection for them on their end somehow.
It's got to be. And those guys, they always try to find some way to weasel out of those warranties and stuff. Anyways,
right.
Oh, they used the wrong kind of nail spacing,
my God,
and that kind of. I'm like, come on, guys. Let's be real. Somebody spent a lot of money buying your product. Sure. Because you said you warrantied it, and now you're going to try to weasel your way out.
And there's a couple of good companies that are generally always warranty their stuff, like the Timberline series from GAF, and the Oak Ridge series from Owens Corning.
Okay.
Those two have been around a long time.
I've heard
and
a lot of good stuff about Owens Corning.
Yeah, Owens Corning was probably the best on warranty stuff. When they come out, they're not trying to, buy you a whole new roof, but they aren't gonna, cut you down to nothing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's worth the little extra product and stuff. And it's not like Certainty. They're all over the place, but
their new product line is good, but they've had some really bad claim periods over like a couple of years.
Yeah, with recalls and stuff like that.
God.
I mean, they had a lot of issues, and not only they've had they don't just do roofs either. They do insulation, siding. They do absolutely everything you can imagine on the outside and inside of the house.
And during that one claim period, they did people real good. They actually included some labor money because some of the products I think failed in like 6 years.
Yeah,
and at that point you can't just say, hey, all the labor's on you now.
Yeah, and what we're talking about, you guys, there was some Certainty product that came out, and the granular just started to fall off the thing. Like, it was literally
they would turn the shingles would turn black. All the aggregate would be in the gutter within a few years.
Yep, it was ugly. It was ugly. But we're going to get into some of the roofing basics today, and the first thing we're going to talk about is what the purpose of your roof is. So your roof has a specific purpose in your home, and primarily it's to protect the home. Okay. So protecting the home from water, snow, and ice. Outside of that, appearance that's entirely up to you, but that the main it is not a main purpose of your roof to look good. However, some people would say a good-looking shingle can make your house look a lot better, right?
That's right.
Okay? But those people also are putting on green shingles and all kinds of other
blue
or blue.
Arbor
oh
blue.
My God, I saw one of those.
I did one of those quite a few years ago.
Yeah. The sparkly blue. That's the color of the shingles. It's just disgusting. But some people, they just don't have that vision. You know,
you got a purple house. I need a blue roof.
Yeah, but you know what I saw? There was a guy at our like a trade table, and they were talking roofing and stuff like that. He had a where he could take a picture of a house or whatever, and he could switch out the shingles to make it look cool. And I'm like, that's awesome, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like, sort of, before you buy the shingles, because when you're looking at a little sample board,
it's hard to visualize.
Yeah, when you're looking at a sample board versus 24 squares on your roof,
and even when you look at a sample board inside as compared to just in the sunlight, it's drastically different.
So it's like, definitely. When I managed the apartments or whatever, and we were doing some replacement shingles and stuff, I actually took the sample boards up and set them on the roof to see what was the right product for us. But so that's the purpose of our roof. Okay, now the roof has a number of different parts or systems, and some of these things are in every roof, other things aren't in every roof. Okay, it kind of depends on the type of roof and the style of roof that you have. First of all roofs are going to have sheathing or decking, whether it's a flat roof, steep pitch roof, low pitch roof, whatever. You're going to have some sort of sheathing or decking. Generally speaking, today 3/4 ply. Is that what we're 5/8?
Mostly 5/8.
Yeah,
a lot of 1/2 inch out there too.
Yeah, if you get
you don't see no 3/4 inch roof boards anymore. No real wood anymore.
Yeah. The thing with the roof decking is it gives you that stability of the roof. Going to make it last longer, perform better, make it less likely to get sagging in between your rafters or in between your trusses and stuff. Once in a while, I'll come across a roof that's only got like 3/8 on it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
And you're crunching every step of the way, and then even worse if you got they're set at 24 inches. Holy cow!
Yeah, you get some real sag. Yeah, for sure. Or some of those modified trusses where they had the truss and they were like 4 feet apart and they put these purlins.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just bad news. And the only thing you can do there is hey, the client, your sheathing is not sufficient. And your span between roof supports is too great.
Right, and you can give them the option. I mean, a lot of those will still last 50, 60, 70 years. I had to work on them, and sometimes it works. But man, if you have the choice and you got the money, well, you swap it out while you can.
It's not pretty, but the only time to do it is when you're replacing the roof.
Right.
You're not going to do one or the other. You got to do both at the exact same time. So sheathing is important, and almost every house today is going to be OSB. Some of the guys are using the zip sheathing that there's out now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
It's that green stuff,
okay.
That's the green stuff that they tape the joints and stuff like that. Yeah. They also have a kind of a paste you can put over the joints if you don't want to use the tape. I wouldn't use the tape. I'd like the adhesive option to be better. What is the best kind of shingle roofing material? I don't know. Everybody can have a different opinion about that.
Right. I mean, the really only shingle roofing material nowadays is fiberglass.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same as the old asphalt shingles. It's just a fiberglass mesh that's pressed in the center.
Yeah, and it's going to dissipate the heat better because of the fiberglass.
Oh, yeah. They cut easier. Yeah. I mean, they last longer.
Yep. And cost-wise, there's the material and what's reasonable, but then there's also, you got to factor into the cost and things like that. And some people would say, oh, metal roof. Well, metal roof has downsides too. And
sure.
And the architectural shingle, like we're talking about with the fiberglass, has its downsides as well.
Right. And with the advances in the the architectural shingles, they last just as long as the metal roof. The metal roof selling point used to be it's a 50-year roof. Well, now your shingles can get you close to there.
Yeah.
But even with the steel roof, they suggested it gets recoated at 25.
Mm-hmm. So and depending on what kind you do it, if you put on the one where you're sticking screws through every so often, then you got those little rubber washers that wear out, and then you're in trouble.
The Menards brand.
The Menards, the corrugated steel ones.
Call it crap flap.
Crap flap. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing a standing seam metal roof, that's one thing.
Right. That's what you want to go for. Yeah. A good standing seam.
Yeah. A good standing seam is really the only way to go if you're doing a metal roof, unless it's on a barn where you don't care if you get a couple leaks here and there. We have a pole building up north, and it's with the lap crap. And we get a couple leaking washers or whatever. So I got to get up on the roof and I got to find these washers and replace them. And I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of washers here. So I'm just basically replacing every one that looks like it's cracked a little bit. Because anytime we get a rainstorm of any kind, it's leaking through and stuff, so the best kind, it's all relative to a number of different things. Some people would say, oh, cedar shake is the only way to go. Oh my God. Yeah. If you got $10 million you can spend on your roof every so often, it's just.
A couple years ago, I replaced a 70 square cedar shake roof. Yeah. And she wanted heavy shakes. Now,
you guys, I know you might not know what squares are. They're 10 by 10.
A 10 by 10 section. Yeah.
So 70 square is like double what a normal house would be.
Right. And 5 years ago, that cost was $300 a square for material. When I did it, when wood was very expensive, it was $600 a square.
Holy cow! Double.
So she paid $40,000, a little over $40,000, as compared to $20,000 would have been, only a few years apart.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with cedar shake and cedar,
and that's just the material.
That's just the material. That's not even the installation or nothing, nor the maintenance. I mean, you're looking
the maintenance is another big
The maintenance
cost.
is another thing.
I just couldn't see doing it.
Oh my God. When it comes to Wisconsin, I never recommend wood products, period, on the outside of the house. It just doesn't make any sense.
You saturate them in the winter, and you curl them up with the heat in the summer.
And you invite the woodpeckers and the moss and the algae. I mean,
everything lives under there.
Yeah, there's so many great materials out there that will decrease the maintenance level that you have to do on your home on a regular basis, and it'll make your home cheaper to operate. It'll make it cheaper to maintain. You can spend more time enjoying it instead of taking care of it. I mean, there's a lot of pluses, but definitely any time you're thinking about putting in a product in the outside of your house, if wood is an option, cross it off, move away from it, because there is so
much maintenance.
Yeah,
always.
I mean, putting and they might say it's cheaper to put wood trim on than PVC trim. Okay, sure, but what's the long term cost going to be? You're going to pay. You're going to have to replace that wood 4 or 5 times before you move out of this house, where you put the PVC in, you're never gonna have to replace it again. So there's things to consider with all that, but it's all personal preference. Me personally, I think a nice architectural shingle is the way to go when I'm dealing with my home that I live in on an everyday, daily basis.
It's the most maintenance free.
Yep.
And in the most, the mid-range price.
And it's very repairable. I mean, it's available, and that kind of stuff. Up north, I'm a metal roof guy just because I'm not there all the time. Right. I can't look at the roof.
That's what you do up north. You want the snow to slide right off.
I want the snow to slide right off, and my house I don't have a basement. I don't care if the water gets next to it, and at the same time, it's we have a lot of trees, so there's a lot of shade, and so in a very shady area, architectural shingle is going to gather a lot of algae, a lot of moss, a lot of other things that are going to require regular maintenance. Where my metal roof, I can go up there with a pressure washer if I want and just hose it off. Yeah, and that's the way to do it. And we have on the pole building, we have the lap crap, with the screws and the washers. On the house, we actually have standing seam, which is really been pretty good. The only thing I don't like about the metal roof concept up there and in period is roof protrusions. And stuff. I mean, always getting snapped off by the ice sheets.
No matter if they move, you can put those snow gems everywhere you want, but those still get wrecked as well.
Yeah, I go up there and the ice will come down in one big chunk or whatever, and they'll take off all the little breaks that I put on and just bend them like they're noodles. Yeah. It's like, holy cow. But up there is a different thing too. Our place is up in Florence, so we're almost up to Lake Superior, so we get a lot of that. We'll go up there. We had probably 40 inches of snow sitting on the roof.
Right, you get a lot of that coming off the lake. Right?
Yeah. So we get a lot more snow up there than we do down here. So it's a little bit more.
Well, and the darker color when the sun hits, it just slides off the roof, which is nice. So then we don't have as much leaking inside the house.
It's always good. Less leak in the house.
We don't have any leaking inside the house. If we had leaking inside the house, I would do something. Come on, you're talking to helpful home inspector lady.
No leaking in the house. My apologies.
There's no leaking in my house. There's leaking in my barn, but there's no leaking.
That's acceptable.
And that's acceptable because it's a barn. All I have in there is ATVs and trailers and a basketball court, but not in the house. The house doesn't have any leaking. You're telling the world, lady. Come on. Okay, all right, so let's get into this. So the next thing we have is ice and water shield. Now, this is a newer revelation. If you go back 20 years, it was not a thing.
Right, it wasn't even code then.
Yeah, it wasn't code, wasn't required. It was just the guys that were doing the primo jobs were using this stuff.
When I worked on the North Shore, they wanted ice and water shield because their neighbors had ice and water shield.
Yeah, and today, though, it's every house.
Yeah, and it should be on there. It doesn't. And the cost of it now is so much more cheaper, and it doesn't take any longer to put on.
Yep,
it's worth a little bit of extra protection.
Yeah, and the ice and water shield, you guys, if you can imagine a sheet of rubber that is really sticky on one side, and it has like that plastic film that you peel off on it. You basically run it out. And you have one guy hold the end, and the other guy grabs the plastic sheet and goes down the other end or whatever, and you stick it down.
And once it's stuck, it is stuck.
It is not coming off. Yeah, it's very difficult to get off. But the nice thing is it's a rubber, so it's going to have a self-healing membrane. So as you put nails through or anything like that, it's going to self-heal around it. Yep. And also, if you do end up getting ice dams or anything like that, that's going to propel it.
It filters the water. Yeah. Right back out to the gutter instead of damaging the wood underneath or coming through into your house.
Yep. General practice these days is 6 feet from the eave. 3 is that 3?
3.
6 feet is extra.
6 feet is extra.
Okay, and so 3 feet from the eave, and then also in your valleys, you're going to have 3 feet on either side, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people want to do 6 feet if it's a lower pitch, but really, what code is it's 3.
Yep. Now, ice and water shield on the entire roof, probably a waste of money. Right?
Yeah, but a lot of people do that.
Do they really?
Some people are really fanatical about it.
Yeah.
So I've only done it on a few places, but yeah.
Yeah. And the only place that I would think would make sense is if you have a really low pitch. That's where you're going to put on a composition dimensional shingle or something like that. And that's just because it's that extra layer of protection. The lower your pitch, the more likelihood you're going to get water intrusion and stuff. And we'll get into pitch a little bit later, but pitch is one of those things that can really make your roof last a long time. Sure. But it can also be detrimental to your roof as well if you're going the other way, so yeah.
And if it's a low enough pitch where you feel like you needed to coat the whole thing with ice and water shield, you should probably just be using a membrane on the whole roof anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the next thing we have is valleys and flashing. So valleys, we talked about ice and water shield in the valleys. So valleys are where two roof surfaces are coming together, and we're going to coat that with that rubberized ice and water shield. But now there's different opinions about valleys. I'm big on metal valleys. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only valleys that I would use.
Yeah. Some the push 10 years ago was for these Cali valleys.
Well, yeah. Now, I'm not sure. You're not talking about a closed cut valley. Are you talking about where they flip the shingle and just butt it?
Flip and lap them, where they lap up underneath?
That's a weave.
A weave?
Yeah, but the California Valley or the Hollywood Valley, we call it that because it's acting like a real valley. Yeah. That's a closed cut. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Hollywood Valleys now is where they take a regular shingle and flip it so that you can see the exposed side of the valley. Then they just butt the regular roof shingle up and cut it off. They don't even make the full cuts. And that's generally what you see from the larger crews that come from down south, the hail chasers and that. Yeah. And I think now, it is GAF who has just made a type of an announcement saying that they will no longer warranty their roofs where people that are doing the Hollywood Valley. Yeah. But I don't know if that's for sure. That was just someone told me that at one of the distributors. So.
Yeah.
But it's a crappy valley.
It's a crappy valley. Whether it's a weave, whether it's a Cali Valley or Hollywood Valley, whatever. Yeah. all are bad. The metal valley is really
right, because
only
anything,
way to go.
whatever else you're doing, you're pulling the aggregate off. So yeah, the metal, on 2 nice channels, let it run.
Yep, and the metal, you guys, is going to extend up underneath the shingles, probably a good 10, 12 inches, right?
Yeah, depending on the size. Some are 18, some are 24, you know, so.
Yep, and it's going to give you a nice durable valley. It's going to last a long time. It's going to have a smooth transition for the water to flow and run away. Yep. Your tree debris and things like that isn't going to sit in there. It's going to be pushed away by the water rushing through there and stuff. So it's going to help you keep your roof cleaner and stuff. So I think just metal valleys really the only way to go. If you have somebody coming at you proposing other valleys, oh, we do that all the time. Tell them to get lost or do it your way. You're the boss. It's your one to pay the bill. And if you don't want to be paying extra bills down the road, put a metal valley in.
Right. If you go a little bit further north, like Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, all those places, they're all closed cut valleys. I'm like, why is there no metal valleys? Even in Beaver Dam.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I see so much of that. I mean, now that they're all getting replaced, but but still, it's like,
And those situations when you take off the layer of roof, the next time you're going to find all kinds of water damages and all kinds of other things. So it's just a bad idea. And getting into that, along with the valleys and flashings, also is drip edge. So drip edge is a product that basically, if the water comes over the edge of the shingle, it's going to hit that metal and be kicked off and away from the home. Something that some guys skip, and I'm like, how are you skipping it?
Or on the gable or on the gutter edge?
On the gutter edge.
Oh, I don't know. How could you skip it on the gutter edge? On the gable, I can see it because a lot of people don't want metal if they like the wood look.
Sure.
So then you just overhang your shingle, and then it acts as the same thing as a metal drip edge. But on the gutter, I just don't even know.
The one builder I had, he got in an argument with me.
Just put a gap there
because he had the shingle overhang and a gap. And he's like, there's enough gap there that it can't happen. The shingle's overhanging. And I'm like...
You know how many little critters go in there, too, on top of it? Like, they'll just shred everything. Yeah, that's not...
It was just him because his buyer was there with me. So he's trying to defend what they did so that they can still want to buy it. And I understand why he's doing it, but it still doesn't make it okay.
And, in theory, it's probably okay. You got a big enough overhang, it's probably going to be fine. But really, do you want something to just be fine, or do you want it to be done right?
$750,000 home. Right. And this guy's sitting there arguing with me. I'm like, holy man.
Trying to get over on $100 for the drip edge.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, and it's the drip edge is something you can the shingles are brand new, so they're still not adhered. So you can still go back there and put it in after the fact.
It's easy just to slide it in afterwards. Like even when you're replacing gutters after the roof, you can put the gutters on and then slide it in and put the hanger in.
Exactly.
It doesn't take very long.
It doesn't take very much. Yep. Now the next thing is roof penetrations, and I'm not a big fan. Every time I come across roof penetrations, it's leak point. It's
always a problem. If you can get rid of one on your roof, get rid of it.
Yeah. When you talk, I mean, if you have high efficiency equipment and you're not using conventional efficiency equipment, and you have a mechanical chimney.
Yeah, or even a brick one that you're not using, take it down, because at some point you got to maintain the chimney, or you got to fix the flashing, or you got to do both.
Yeah. And a lot of guys out there that are going to say they're going to come and fix your flashing aren't going to do it correctly.
They're going to use tar.
They're going to goop it all up there, and the leak stop for now.
Right. It's a 6-month Band-Aid that creates a water trap.
Exactly. Yeah. And then not only is it going to cause a problem for leaking, but also then it's going to cause deterioration. Yeah. You're going to rot the wood. You're going to deteriorate the masonry. It's going to have just a compounding issue. And like when you have somebody come out there, I'm going to fix your chimney, and they don't come out and they don't put a cap on the chimney, and they just do a wash or something like that. I'm like,
oh yeah, when you get out of the chimney, if your concrete cap is a problem, you need to fix it with concrete. If a guy gets up there and can fix it with a paintbrush, it ain't fixed.
No, it ain't fixed. That's not going to cut it. Yeah, I mean, and now the problem that you have is that the homeowner's at a disadvantage because they're not going to get up there and aren't going to look at it. They don't have a drone there flying around.
Right, and then some of that stuff, if you get the more expensive, spreadable stuff, it can last 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. But I mean, they don't know. Concrete's going to last you 20.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and a lot of times they're charging the same amount of money too, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you put that concrete up there and you put a good concrete sealer on that, it's going to last a real long time. And granted, you may, because if it's in the sunlight and stuff like that, you may need to do some sealer and stuff.
Every once in a while, you got to take a look. But for the most part, when you pour a slab, it's going to stay. You're good to go.
Yeah.
You set your forms. You got 5 inches of concrete. It's
when you guys do that, you're doing what kind of like rebar or anything like that inside of that?
Nah, not usually.
Not really.
Not usually. You don't run into a lot of it. Every once in a while you do, but it's not really moving and you're not putting a lot of weight on it. You set your forms and pour it, and then I put a finish on it when I'm done. And
overhang's probably what, 2-3 inches?
You use a 2x, so it's 1.5
1.5 inch overhang. Yeah, as long as you have some overhang there, you're gonna get that
and then it's not running down the bricks, pulling out the tops of those mortar joints. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But anytime that you can not have something go through your roof's better off. Okay, those are leak points. And I guess one of the things that I every house has plumbing vents. Is there a different way that we can send plumbing vents out of the house instead of going through the roof?
I don't know. I always just see them coming straight up the roof. Probably because it's the easiest thing to do.
It's probably the easiest thing to do. And they put that rubber boot on.
Right.
But I'm like, you just need to allow air into the plumbing system for water
I'm sure
flow.
they could find a way to run it out the side of the house, but I think it's just easier running it straight up.
Easier, yeah. I'm going to change the world, people. We're going to vent out the side of the house. You watch it. It's going to happen 10 years from now. Somebody's going to watch this video. They're going to be like,
he called it.
He called it. We're changing this shit. No more rubber boots. Because almost every probably fourth house I come to, the rubber boots are cracked.
Yeah, I replace them all the time before the roof is bad.
What about those covers that go over the top? You seen those?
Oh, they look like the little half moon black covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can put them on. I don't really know that they do any good. Are you talking about ones that go on the top of the actual soil stack pipe, or the ones that actually fit over the old busted up boot?
They fit over the busted up boot, like the plastic. They're black plastic.
Yeah. Those, I guess, those work. I guess I would think you just want to just take the old busted up stuff off and put a new one on.
It would make sense. I would think that might be a temporary.
Yeah. No, it'll work for a while. It'll work for a while
until the wind comes along. And
that's one of those products is boosted by Menards and Home Depot.
So. Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen a couple of them or whatever. And the interesting part about it is that it's like a 3-piece connection thing, and then it goes, and the cup is like inside, so it goes into the pipe.
Well, and that's good because that mimics at least that part of it's good because that mimics when you use a lead boot. Mm-hmm. You fold it all the way in.
They still have those lead boots.
Lead boots. They won't ever rot, but if you don't put them on right, you pound them a little too thin, then they do start to break. And that solder weld on the base can also come apart.
Oh, sure.
But, really, if they last longer than the neoprene.
Sure. Yeah. And then the rubber gets stretched out and it gets heated up. And
it cracks.
Yep. And that's the main thing. The next thing is ventilation. With roofing ventilation, box vents are the thing that's been around forever. They're still doing new homes with them today.
Sure.
And the general rule is one box vent for every 300 square feet of attic space. Okay. However, ridge vents are a thing, and
they provide so much more. And there's upsides and downsides to both. I know a lot of people have problems with the bees with their ridge vents. That seems to be the biggest issue. Yep. Sometimes on the ends, they can be a bigger wind catch, but that's only if your house is facing in certain directions. Overall, the ridge vent's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and the box vents, sometimes if you have too large of a screen, you can also get snow in your attic. And
that's something else.
The ridge vent's going to
blow right up in there.
Yeah, the ridge vent's going to stop some of that. You ever seen the Helpful Handyman? It's like a website thing or whatever. So they had this guy that went up there and put cookie sheets underneath each of his box vents just to stop the snow from getting into his ventilation, into his insulation. And I'm like, you're going to put that much effort into that? Yeah. Let's get a better box vent or put a ridge vent in.
Yeah, I knew a commercial maintenance guy who was big on turkey roaster pans. He put them everywhere. Well, it's an occasional leak. Turkey roaster. And he was maintaining all kinds of large-scale commercial properties. That was one of his go-tos.
At the commercial property?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he was actually an engineer.
He's probably get lots of calls, too, because he's a cheap guy. Oh, my gosh. No good. We did briefly talk about gutters before, but gutters are very important. We want to make sure we move that water away from their home, and it's all part of your roofing system. So you got to have all that kind of stuff working together. So all those things are definitely very important pieces of your roof system, and you got to understand all that. If you're going to try to tackle any type of roofing project on your own, it's always got to be considered, how's the water going to get off this roof? And if you don't have that planned out properly, you can screw things up and cause a lot of water damage in your home in a short period of time. So the next thing we talk about is the roofing surface materials, and choosing the right roofing material for your home is important. We talked briefly about some of the other of the different options and things like that. Asphalt shingle's been around for forever, really long time. Asphalt does deteriorate very quickly. You're talking about a 15 to 18 year max lifespan generally.
Yeah, and I don't really know anyone that makes them anymore.
No, they're all going to have the fiberglass.
Right. Yeah.
There's
probably I remember I used to see bargain ones that were called the 10-year shingles. The 10-year ones are super cheap.
You might as well put roll roofing on at that point.
And it's not even a step up from that.
Yeah. Those shingles, they just don't last very long. It's a cheap way to go, and if you
need it, at that time,
Yep. If you need it and you're just looking to save a buck and whatnot, then it's the way to go. But if you're going to be in the home for any period of time, or you want to look at your resale value, you want to go with a little better material. Typically the most common shingle installed today is an architectural composition dimensional shingle. It's got fiberglass built into it and the asphalt and the granular, but it is still a traditional roofing material. Relatively reasonably priced.
It's dependable.
Yeah, dependable.
Repairable.
30 to 50 years, or what? No, what did you say? 25 to 50 years.
35 to 50 years is the limited lifetime warranty.
Yeah. Now, you guys, one thing about roofing manufacturers is that they've been wrong about the lifespan of their product for their entire history, and they're not shy about it either.
Right.
They'll keep. What do you mean this is going to last 50 years? And
when the architecturals first came out, they were classified as a 25-year shingle. Then they realized they last longer. Then they bumped them up to 40. Then they bumped them to 50. Now they're back down to, whoa, we went a little too far.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Your roof is not going to last forever, but buying a little bit better product is going to make it last longer, perform better, be less likely to have issues. And it also is easier to install. You're going to have better warranties. All that kind of stuff goes along with it. It's all kind of worked in together. Now, when it comes to architectural shingle, while that is by far the most common shingle used here in Wisconsin and Illinois and maybe Tennessee, you get south of that, you get some different materials. You can get into tile roofs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of tile.
Yeah, but that's not something that we really mess around with up here. Tile is just a different beast altogether. It's purlins and all this other
stuff. It's expensive.
It's expensive. You can't.
The weight is a lot more considerable. Depending on the pitch, you might need extra structural support.
Yep, and guess what? It only comes in one color. Orange. That's it. Right. Yeah, but they dissipate the heat well. That's why they use them in arid climates and stuff like that. They also are insect resistant. They're not going to mold or mildew or rot like a lot of other products will. So there's a lot of good pluses to that, but just it's not a product for us here. Our temperature differences and things would be cracked and damaged. You see them once in a while. I inspected one up in Port Washington. They actually went and painted the thing.
They painted the tiles.
They painted the tiles. Okay. Yeah, and it was. Well,
I've never seen that.
It was just the weirdest thing, but it was a really old building. And it used to be the original. I think it was the original firehouse in Port Washington.
So was it the Spanish or was it flat?
No, it was a Spanish tile.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. You just don't see it very often, And I'm like, I'm not walking out on this thing, so I flew the drone around and got some pictures and stuff. But there was so many cracks and damages and
take one of those, slip out. It's like,
oh my gosh, yeah. And somebody had been.
Well, can you imagine someone on the ground?
Oh my gosh!
Catching one of those in the melon.
You've seen that in the videos before, where one goes, then they just start sliding down.
Yeah.
And people had gone out on the roof and done all kinds of repairs. There was all kinds of caulking, all kinds of weird stuff on it, but.
Those are just difficult to repair.
It's just a hot mess. So I would avoid anything dealing with those type of clay tiles and stuff like that. One of the things that we saw as a kind of, I would see it as a brief window where people were installing cedar shake and cedar shingles. It's kind of
a lot of homeowners associations required it.
Bristlecone pines.
Yeah, well, a lot of them. A lot of them, 15, 20 years ago, and that's when cedar was reasonable, but now it's just
and they saw it as an elite feature.
Yes.
So they required it on every single home, and we're elite, so we're going to put this expensive and then when they find out that it costs them $10,000 every 6 years,
it costs them twice the cost of the roof. During the life of the roof to maintain it.
Yep. And so now a lot of those HOAs and things have gone to
heavy grade dimensionals.
A nice looking shingle that's required.
They make sure you get a top of the line.
Yep. But more durable, lasting longer, not the maintenance issues, not the huge upfront costs and stuff. It's just a durable, better product, So they've gone away from a lot of that. And most HOAs, you still come across every once in a while. I come across one that'll have them, But with the cedar shake, most of the time they're not maintained, so they just start splitting all over the place.
I get a lot of calls for repairs on them yet.
Yeah. And there's one company that I refer out that all they do is wood roof repairs. They drive around and repair roofs and wash roofs and stain roofs, and I'm like, you're spending $10,000 to have these guys come and wash your roof every 6 years.
Right, and they'll replace a few shakes here and there and restain it. Yeah,
and you're going to spend
great money.
You're going to spend that $10,000 again in another 6 years.
Yep.
Just take that $20,000, put a new roof on.
Get a new roof on, be done with it.
Be done with it for the next 30 freaking years. You know, you can't. A lot of times people they're too cheap up front and they don't think about the long term implications of their cheap choices.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh.
Be nice.
I wasn't looking at anybody. But ultimately, you guys put a good product on your roof, and it's going to save you lots of money in the long run in maintenance and that kind of stuff, and just better for you. Now, metal roofing is an option. There's a little town. It's not a little town. It's a little subdivision up in Belgium where every single house was built by the same builder, and they did all metal roofs, and every one of them's a different color, you know. But they're all they're all the overlap, the crap flap stuff, and so they're going to end up in about 10, 15 years. They're all going to have those deteriorated rubber washers. They're going to need to be replaced, and that's a lot of work, you know. But metal roofing is a cheap installation if you're doing it on your own type of thing, you know.
Right, and it's not that difficult to do.
No,
you know,
it's not
you get it in sheets cut to the right size. You can just kind of put them on, lay it out like a puzzle.
But if you're doing the flap crap, you got to know you're going to be going up there in 10, 15 years, replacing every one of those washers that you just put down.
Or you're up there putting clear poly on each one, and then that gets dirty, and then you got to peel it off. It's just a pain.
It's just a pain. If you're going to do a good metal roof, you're going to pay for it. Probably double what an asphalt shingle or a composition shingle would
easily,
cost
depending on what type of standing seam you go with.
Yeah. Standing seam is really the only way to go if you're going to go with a metal roof of that's going to be of quality. It's going to have that deferred maintenance that you're looking for,
and you're not going to see any of that warp that you see from the large, flat panels.
Yep, exactly. And you want to buy a good quality company that's going to install it so that you don't have problems down the road, and they're going to
someone will come back and service it when there's an issue.
Yep, and they'll put in the right brakes and all that kind of stuff that you need with a metal roof. It's just, and that's a craft though. Those guys, I mean. They just do some beautiful work. We've seen some of those copper roofs and stuff like that over on the North Shore.
I couldn't even imagine how much you pay for all that custom copper work, all the flashings.
Gorgeous, though. Yeah. Gorgeous stuff. But it does take a lot of effort and skill. So, yeah, I mean, the more power to them, but those metal roofs are going to last a good long time. So, the clay, the slate tile, the solar tiles, the grass roofs, Al Johnson. Let's get some goats. Put them up on the roof.
That's the one up in Door County? Oh, I love that. My kids thought that's the best thing ever.
Oh, that's the coolest thing. Yeah. Tammy, we'll find a picture of Al Johnson's and put the goats on the roof up on the video here. We still go up here and see them. And now you can feed them. They'll let you feed them and stuff. Yeah. Remember at the like a zoo where you turn the thing.
Yeah. They got one of those for the goats.
The roof comes down low and the goats will come down and you can feed them and stuff.
I always thought that was cool.
That was still cool. Yeah. And they got some of the best Swedish pancakes you ever did have up there. So Al Johnson's up in Door County. There's a pitch. If you want to sponsor the channel, hey, Al Johnson's, we love you. But ultimately, those are they're a pink whale. Right. You don't hardly ever see those guys, And Tesla roof. Okay, you might find.
What is a Tesla tile? I don't even know.
Tesla tile. It's basically.
Is that a solar tile?
It's a solar tile that actually gets. So you've seen those new metal roofs that they came out with, those solar. They're like the metal granularized. They screw in, which
those are like solar screw in tiles.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then they overlap each other, and basically your whole roof is a solar panel.
Okay.
Kind of cool, but then you have each individual one has a little wire that goes to it. It's a whole.
You wonder how that's pretty involved.
That's like a $250,000 roof.
Yeah, those the metal granular ones. Those are ridiculous.
They're ridiculously expensive. Yes,
they look pretty nice, but what happens when you dent them?
Well, when they get dented, or how long is that granular going to stay on there?
That's another thing
and stuff. I mean, they're relatively untested. They're probably 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're not old, and you got to wonder the more that it expands, especially being metal like that, you figure it's got to knock those granules loose at some point.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not a hard hail, those little
anything like
metal,
that,
it would take it out, but. It looks cool.
It does.
But incredibly expensive. So if you want to go that route, go for it. They're advertising a lot. Oh, we were looking for roofs to put our shingles on. Give us a call. And they're not giving you free roof, guys.
No, I know.
They're going to come to you with a $200,000 bill or whatever, and that's just going to be what it is. But do your research. Rubber roofing, I come across a lot of rubber roofs.
Rubber roof is just the good, easy standard.
Yep.
You can make it workable.
Yep. 25, 30 years with your general single ply.
A fully adhered is decent.
So. Yep. Exactly. And repairable. but it also has its challenges with you got to have if you're that flat of a roof, you got to be really concerned about load support because you're going to have all that snow and ice is just going to sit there. It's not going to go off like it would with a regular roof. It's just going to sit there. Also, any water, if there's unlevelness at all, it's going to pond and puddle, you know.
And that'll eat away at any seams that are there. So that'll quicken it up.
They do have different kinds. So the majority of the rubber roofs that we come across are black rubber roofs. And sometimes we'll have a roof that'll have multiple surfaces, and there might be one little section that's rubber, the rest will be asphalt or whatever. But you can mix it up or whatever how you need to. But black rubber for the most common, it does melt the snow and allows the water to trickle in, which is nice. It also does add a lot of heat to your attic space if there is an attic space or above the top of your house, you know. They do make white rubber roofs, which I'm a big fan of because I think that those with dissipating the heat, the seams and stuff are going to last a little bit longer. Most of those seams aren't heat adhered. They're going to be chemically adhered, which...
I mean, you got your EPDM, which is the rubber. Then you get your TPO, which is a combination of EPDM and PVC. Yeah. Because the TPO is glued and welded seams. Yeah. Where the PVC is just mechanically fastened and welded.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's lots of different options as far as
you can mix all those up.
You can mix them all up if you want to. Yeah. But the rubber roof, 25, 30 years, generally speaking, well installed.
If it's installed right with good quality. Yeah.
Yep. Now, some people always I was down and did a condo down on what was it? 3rd Street, something like that in Milwaukee. And they had, it was probably a 6-story building. And the roof had all kinds of stones all over it. And they're like, why is there stones all over the place? That is the cheapest rubber roof
you can get. That's why they put it on.
Why is there stones? Well,
because nothing is glued.
Yeah.
It's a big loose sheet of rubber, seamed and seamed. Yep. And of course there's, strips that, that nail it to the deck and the walls, but the only thing that holds it down is all that stone. 2,000 pounds per square.
That's a lot
10 by 10 section.
Yeah, and if you have to replace it, all they do is they push the stone over to one side, replace the section. And
or they just you have the vacuum company. They got it looks like a regular house vacuum cleaner.
Oh, really?
And it puts it right into a tank, and then they can pump it right back up.
Oh, I never seen that before.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but I mean,
that's a pain in the ass of a roof. I've done a few of those, and it's like,
I would not want to mess with anything like that.
Well, and repairs for those, you got to shovel all the stone to find a seam, and then it's been harboring years and years of dirt that you got to get through to even get to the repairs.
Yep. Well, and every once in a while, the guys walk around up there, step on a hard stone or edge a stone that's got a chip in or something, and that's cuts.
Anyone that's working on the HVAC units, those guys leave screws laying all over.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There it goes.
Absolutely.
But it is, it's the most affordable type of roof system. Mostly like on a lot of new construction, big, factory buildings and things like that. That's why people go with it.
Yeah. Now, as far as roofing materials go, there are, like we said, there's the sod roof, the Tessa tiles, the thatch roof. Thatch roof is primarily not in America. You're not going to see that anywhere. You might see some adobe roofs down in the south, the arid southwest, right? I mean, Arizona area, Sure. But not very common. The slate stuff, that's incredibly expensive too,
right?
And I see some guys that work on that. I'm like, holy man!
The way you just chip those little holes with that hammer, you know what? Like Holy Hill, and I know this was about 15 years ago, maybe 20. And they're all slate roof. Just for their repair budget that year, 20 years ago, was $1.5 million for repairs.
And that's a lot of those homes on the North Shore. You go over to Whitefish Bay, you go over to Nicolay, and that's a lot of those old houses. That's what they're going to have. And it's incredibly expensive to install, but incredibly expensive to repair and stuff like that.
Right.
As well.
Almost nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, nobody does
that's complete specialty work.
Yeah, and guys don't walk out on that stuff anymore. They all are getting lifts and they're getting those pitch lifts. And stuff.
You can't take a chance of cracking it and making more issues. It's just too expensive.
Yep, exactly. Avoid exotic roofing materials. You don't want to mess with those at all, unless you got a lot of money and better, and you don't have anything.
I want the mud roof.
The mud roof, the adobe roof, Well, and that's in the arid Southwest. They don't get a lot of rain. I mean, down by the Grand Canyon and stuff. Where was that meteorite thing that we saw, honey? Where they said they only got like an inch of rain every.
Was it where the big crater is?
Yeah. The meteor crater. They're like,
I think that's for the Toward Phoenix, eh?
Yeah. We only get like an inch of rain every year or whatever, so that's why it hasn't eroded this all, and it's been maintained. And in those kinds of.
It's in Arizona.
Yeah. but it's an option if you're down in there, but definitely not in Wisconsin. you'd be growing pine trees out of it and stuff, and then as far as the costs associated with roofing materials, a lot of people look at the upfront cost of the materials, but there's so much more that goes into it, the installation and the sub materials and stuff.
Yeah, nowadays the major cost is the labor. The materials are really nothing compared to where things are nowadays.
Maybe the materials are probably 25% of the bill.
Yeah, it depends. Depends who's doing the bidding, but yeah,
it's pretty crazy. But back in the day, it was like 50-50.
Oh yeah, and then the materials were just they were dirt cheap. I mean, I remember buying a square of shingles for $10. Now it's $150.
Yeah. So. And then as far as costs associated with installation, you got to think that the person that's doing the installation doesn't only just have to pay for the shingles, but they also have to pay for the truck, their insurance, and everything else that goes along with that. And all of those things have gotten progressively more expensive over the years. So I mean, it makes sense that it's more expensive, but we also have a labor shortage right now, and they have to pay premium dollars to get these guys that are willing to. You were up on a roof today, 93 degrees on the roof. Okay, there's not a lot of guys that are going to want to jump up there with, let's do this.
Nobody wants to do that.
No, they don't, and they're not going to want to do it for $15 an hour. You know, so you got to pay a premium price for that kind of stuff. So that's a big reason why those things are so much more expensive right now. So don't be shocked the next time you go to replace your roof. You're looking at, if you paid $6,000 to $8,000 10 years ago, it's a $15,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, easily double.
Yeah. Now, 1, 2, 3 layers. I'm a fan of one.
Right, yeah. Well, I know the code was like a lot of like the older houses that had a little more pitch to them. They had the cedar shakes, and then you were allowed 2 more layers of asphalt on top of that. That's legal.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with putting a second layer on as long as the first layer is laying flat and you don't have any issues with it and you're not concerned about any deck problems.
Yeah.
But, if you want to make sure, you just take it off.
Yeah. The best way to go, in my opinion, if anybody comes to me and asks, I'm going to tell them.
Well, then you're covered. There's no exceptions.
Yep. Always do a full tear off. You're going to find out if there's any problems with the roof decking.
Sure.
Okay. And if the roof decking has problems and you put a new roof over the top of it, guess what? Now when that decking problem becomes a head problem, then you're going to be tearing off the new shingles that you just put on.
Yeah, they allow 3 in like in Milwaukee County areas.
Really?
Yeah, you just call in for an easement.
Such an awful idea.
Well, a lot of that's in like the rental areas.
Yeah, and I mean, if the shingles are all curled up and nasty,
right?
Throwing
yeah, it's something else.
Putting shingles over the top of deteriorated shingles is going to decrease the lifespan of the new product you're putting on. You're not going to find problems with the decking underneath. You also can't improve the surface.
You can't put ice and water shield on if there was none down. Yeah.
You can't put metal valleys in if you didn't have them before. I mean, it's just, I guess maybe
you can put metal in.
You could put some metal valley in, but definitely something that getting that deck looked at and taken care of is. I think important to me, because you don't want to have to do it again. Right. You don't want to have to mess with it. So I would always suggest 1 layer. Some municipalities do allow 2 to 3 layers, though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, most municipalities, in like Hartford, Mountain Falls, Germantown, Waukesha, 2 layers I think is the max.
2 layers is pretty much the normal everywhere.
Yep. Now, as far as longevity of building materials, the shingles, as far as the roof goes, as long as the shingles or the surface material is in good shape, the materials underneath it could last a really long. I mean, ice and water shield can last.
Oh yeah,
a long time.
Right. Yeah. Well, you won't ever get it off. Like when you tear a roof off and it's got ice and water shield on there. I mean, there's no way it's coming off. I mean, you could maybe someone can do it, but I can't.
And it's not worth the time and effort.
Right. Well, you're putting a fresh layer over it anyway.
Yep. And you're double protected then, right?
Right.
Yeah. The longevity of building materials really is determined by what the surface is. And the surface longevity, we kind of talked a little bit about that with the differences between metal, asphalt. Rolled roofing, you'll see that once in a while. It's a 10-year max on rolled roofing.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I mean, you see a lot of it on barns. Yeah. The guys would go up to the peak and let it roll down, and the guy in the bottom's like, I gotta catch it.
Yeah. Roll roofing, you guys, is kind of like asphalt shingle, but rolled up into a big roll, and it's really thin, Yeah,
it's like a 3-foot roll. So
and it covers a lot of area fast, and it usually gets glued,
but it buckles and cracks. Sometimes, it's just no matter what you do to it, it just doesn't seem to
just doesn't hold up.
But it's cheap.
It is cheap. It is cheap. If you're looking for a cheap way to do a shed or something like that, maybe.
Right. That's why a lot of guys use it on barns. It's so much material. You just.
Yeah.
Knock it out. We'll deal with it in 5 years.
Yeah, we'll take care of it then, But that's just pushing the cart down the road. Roof pitch considerations. So roof pitch needs to be considered when you're choosing the type of roofing material that you're going to put on your roof. If you have a flat pitch roof or roof less than 212, probably, right?
Yeah. Even under a 3, I mean, anything under 3, you should use a membrane.
Use a membrane, yeah. And there you're talking almost flat roofing materials for the most part. Okay. When you're at 412 or greater, the greater your pitch, the faster the snow, ice, and water is going to run off your roof, and the shingles are going to last a little bit longer. But if you get too steep, like in a gambrel situation, now the shingles are like this, and they're hanging by these nails, and a little bit of heat, and they always put black shingles on, and I don't know why they do that, because that's going to absorb all the heat.
You're supposed to put extra nails in each of those.
You're supposed to put extra nails, and then it just pulls right through. And I mean, almost every gambrel roof I come across, the shingles are hanging down.
Right,
and the edges.
It's always an issue.
Yeah, it's always a problem.
It's never the great idea.
Never a great idea.
Put the siding on there instead.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Like a lap siding, or whatever, would be so much better. But gambrel roofs, not a big fan. But usually only see those these days on apartment buildings.
Apartments, the second-story apartments.
Yep.
With the little porches that come out.
Yep. We've all seen them. And then as far as roofing materials to avoid rolled roofing, it's not going to last very long, but it's a cheap in a pinch, like we were talking about. Is there any other roofing materials you'd avoid?
No, not really. I mean,
yeah, I'm not a big fan of the live roof, like the grass stuff. And
that's not for me either.
That you have to be. So many layers have to be built up to be able to do that realistically. Yeah, I wouldn't even mess with.
I don't have enough time.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as storm chasers, if somebody's coming up knocking on your door wanting to go at your roof, that's not the person you want.
You get the taillight warranty.
Yep.
When the taillight's gone, the warranty is too.
I did that roof. I don't remember doing that roof. My company changed names 3 times now. Ultimately, you want to hire a good quality contractor that you know and trust.
Most storm chasing companies are just selling sub to whoever will do it.
Yep.
Pound it, move on to the next state.
Yep, exactly. Ask around, talk to people, find out who in your area do a good thing, do good work or whatever. If you don't know how to go about doing that, drop me a line and help Home Inspector. I'd be happy to help you go through that process or whatever, and I'll do it at no cost to you. The next thing we have is skylights, sun tubes, ventilation. Ventilation we talked briefly about, but skylights and sun tubes. Skylights, probably every third one I come across has leaks or flashing issues or whatever.
They ask, does the skylight come with a guarantee? I guarantee it'll be an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Always. Sun tubes, I've seen pretty good.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah,
and because those are flashed in nice with with your shingles and that. Yeah, I've not had a lot of problems with those.
Yeah, and it's basically got that plastic dome over the top, so you don't have to worry about thermal paint issues and stuff. Yep. And it basically just goes on like a roof boot, like a vent boot.
Yeah.
But sun tubes, definitely the way to go. My guy Dustin put one on, and he loves it. I mean, and
it's amazing how reflective it is and how it can really light up a room.
Yeah, those prisms that they put on there, it's like the sun tube's like a dome on the top. The sun comes in. It's got a reflective tube on the inside. It's a mirror finish, so that sunlight reflects and bounces all the way down. And then there's a prism at the bottom, kind of like old time ships would have, and the sunlight disperses once it's in there, or moonlight. I mean, if it's a moonlit night,
the moon, Yeah,
if it's a moonlit night, it'll look like the lights are on in that bathroom or whatever, But also, they don't have the interior moisture issues because, like skylights, people always put them in the bathroom, and then
in the kitchen above the stove.
Yeah, it's like this big tunnel where all this moisture is going to go up and sit, and then they get surprised there's condensation stains. It's like, skylight's just something I'd avoid. And we've used the term a couple times, a square. A square is basically a 10 by 10 section, and that's kind of how roofers a lot of times will price their job.
That's pricing, yeah.
Yeah, and because a square tells them what they need for underlayment, it tells them what they need for shingles, it tells them what they need for flashing materials and stuff. Just kind of how they grade the roof and what that replacement's going to be. So, yeah. Any other terms that you guys use that the average Joe wouldn't know?
No, not really.
Not really. Yeah. But a lot of times the roofers, when they come to talk to you about it, they'll talk in terms of squares. So that's what that is. And a bundle of shingles is not a square.
Right. Depending on the shingle, some are 3 to a square, some are 4 to a square, some are even 5.
Depends on the reveal.
Well, yeah, and it depends like how thick the shingle is,
okay.
and
sure.
And some of them, they're the way they lock together, they go together in a pattern to form
Oh, okay.
It's because some of those are like a 4-inch exposure, 5-inch.
Yeah. And then that is roofing basics. If you have any questions about roofs, we're still here to answer those questions. You guys can drop those in the comments or whatever. We'd be happy to help you out. But we have our question giveaway of the week. Our question today that we're going to ask, and if you are the first one to answer the question either in the comments today or in the show after we drop it on the replay, okay, if we haven't got a winner at that point, if you are the first person to answer that question, you are going to win a Zircon water alarm. So this is basically a water alarm. It is an open package. I'll send you guys a new one that's not open, but it's got these two little wires on the back. When the water contacts it, it goes crazy on you. But you put one of those in two places in your house. One right by your sump pump, right and down, because the concrete around your sump pump is going to be pitched, so you want to put it on the downstream side of that. And also one right by your water heater. And those are the two main areas where if you had water leaking, you could have a big problem real fast if you don't know that the water's leaking. And if you're not going down in your basement every day, it's a good way to alert you. And it's really loud. It'll let you know upstairs that you have a problem. So the winner will get a Zircon water alarm. And I'm going to send you a brand new one, not this one that I opened up for example purposes. But you get a brand new one. Now, the question... Let me get and by the way, if you've won a prize on the show in the last month, you are ineligible. So, but thank you for watching anyways. I love you guys. The question we have is, name the 3 things that most greatly affect a roof's lifespan. The 3 things that most greatly affect a roof's lifespan. We've briefly touched on all of those things here today, so I think they should be able to get that. But hopefully you guys got some comments and stuff out there. But throw that up in there. If you want to use the Google, go for it. Google it up. But there is basically 3 main things that are going to affect a roof's lifespan. Now, the next thing we're going to get into is the top 5 enemies of your roof. There are some enemies of your roof.
Oh, yeah.
Things that can be bad. The first one, I'll take for poor installation.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. Yeah, if a roof is poorly installed, it's not going to hold up. It's not going to last.
It's not going to take much to take it down.
Yeah, or cause leaking. I
mean,
you could, if somebody puts a roof in bad, you could even know within a week. As soon as that first rain comes, you're going to start seeing signs of it being a problem, and definitely something to get corrected sooner rather than later. Make sure you're working with a reputable contractor. Make sure they have insurance, because if they don't and they cause a lot of damage to your house or something like that, or their ladder falls on your truck or whatever, you're working with a fly-by-night guy. Good luck.
And then you spend just as much money chasing them down as getting what you can get.
Exactly. Yeah, your lawyer's going to cost you the same amount of cost to replace the whole roof. The poor installation is number 1. Number 2, sun. Temperature, and as far as the sun goes, the sun's going to beat up on your roof, and if you have, a straight southern exposure, that's going to be the first side of your roof that's going to deteriorate. So that's
definitely, especially here.
Yeah. Really. I mean, when that sun comes down, you're talking about UV rays, you're talking about the excessive heat. Like today, it was 75 degrees out, and Shawn was up on the roof today, and it was 93 degrees up on the roof. So you're adding 20 to 30 degrees of temperature at the surface. I mean, that's a lot. And if you look at shingles, if you go with a lighter color shingle, we dissipate that a little bit. What do you think?
I think it takes a little bit longer to heat up to what the other ones would be, but I don't think it makes a difference.
Still going to get hot.
Yeah. You might save you a little bit of time. Yeah. But it's negligible.
Well, and some people might also say that the darker shingle is going to melt the snow and ice faster to get it off your roof. And
right.
If we can keep a roof dry, it's less likely to have problems too, right? The next thing is wind. Wind is probably the most common issue roofs have. Hail damage is one of them on this list as well, but hail's not as frequent as
wind. And a lot of times you come out and a lot of times I don't even know why some of these people are getting approved, because I can't see the damage on there a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with wind damage,
that you can always see.
You can always see. It's always going to flip that shingle off or whatever. It's going to be gone. The asphalt shingles, the 3 tabs, you always see that with the tabs flap or whatever. Yeah. But one of the things you guys can do to see if you have wind damage or sun damage is to go out of your house, go across the street. I can't tell you how many times I've stopped by neighbors in our subdivision here and, hey, do you know you've had missing shingles on your roof for the last year and a half? And really, I never looked at my roof. Well, go across the street over here with me. I'm going to show you something. And all it takes sometimes is just walking across the street. Take a look up at your roof. I don't expect you to fly a drone. I don't expect you to walk on your roof. Okay, walking on the roof. Getting on a ladder is very dangerous. Do not go up there unless you know exactly what you're doing.
A lot of people don't know until they find them in the yard.
Yeah, no good. But definitely wind, hail, and then the next one is humans.
Roof rakes.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, Menards, Fleet Farm, Home Depot, stop selling roof rakes. We don't need them. Okay, you do not need it. If you have a problem that you think needs a roof rake, you need to call somebody because then there's a problem with your roof, okay? Our roofs are designed and structurally built to support a 60-inch snow load. That's what the engineering here in Wisconsin is for. We haven't had a 60-inch snow load in... I can't remember ever having a 60-inch snow load. I mean, you could go back and look historically maybe. But, your roof is designed to hold more snow than you could ever imagine, okay? You shouldn't have to rake it off. If you're getting ice buildup and you think you're getting ice dams because of the snow on your roof, that's an insulation and ventilation issue. It's not and a problem with how your roof is designed or whatever, how you're, the roof is managing the heat of the that's escaping from your home, But roof rakes, you're going to go up there, you're going to start scraping and scratching your shingles. You're going to cause all kinds of damage that now you got to fix
bottom
it.
3 feet.
Yeah. You'll see them, and people go up there, and the roof rake isn't always sitting flat or flush. And yes, they put these 2 little wheels on the bottom. You never get on the 2 little wheels. People, there's snow and ice up there, so that metal edge is going and digging in there and just causing all kinds of damage. So no roof rakes, okay? No shoveling. Don't go up on your roof with a shovel. It's you see the crazy videos of like people.
When they slide all the way off.
Yeah, and they have these big, huge sheets of things. That's not you, okay? That's not us here in Wisconsin. Maybe in Upper Michigan they'll get huge snow loads and things like that, but that's not something that you're going to see down here. Blackjack, roof caulk. Awful idea, Blackjack, roof caulk, that kind of stuff is a temporary patch. It's going to fail, and if you're just putting it on there to cover up a nail or something, that's one thing.
Sure.
But if you're putting it on there to patch a hole,
that's definitely
or flash a chimney, how many times have you seen
tons?
Just gummed up.
Flex Seal.
Oh my
People
gosh.
love Flex Seal.
Yeah,
I see it on everything.
Oh my God, you guys! Just because
it fixed the gutter, it fixed the chimney, it fixed the roof, and my car.
It fixed my boat. I put it on the bottom of my boat, and I can ride on a lake. Look at this business. It's just, you guys, that stuff is fine, and there's a place for the Flex Seal's got a place, but it's got a place as a temporary patch. That's it. It's not a permanent fix at all. Okay, so avoid Flex Seal, avoid Blackjack, avoid caulk, avoid roof rakes, and your roof will be better for it. Okay, our tip of the week this week: dig out your window wells, folks. We got rainy season coming. We want to make sure that those window wells are being managed properly, because if you have that dirt up and you got a wood window in your window well, that water's it's a water protrusion and point all the time that we see. So the window well, the gravel at the bottom, the drainage material should be 6 inches below the window. 6 inches, okay, below that window, and there should be some drainage there. You want to have some gravel, you want to have some sand and that kind of stuff to dissipate that water down into the soil. But it doesn't take very long. Get a little shovel, take a little time, maintain and take care of your home. Okay. The next thing we've got is next week. Next week we got the mobile repair guys coming in, Russ Benzer, and he's gonna be talking with us all about small engine maintenance, how to maintain your lawnmower, string trimmers, all that kind of fun stuff, answering some questions that we have, and bringing us a lot of good information. We'll talk about how to keep your mower in tip-top shape, and if you don't want to do it on your own, give Russ a call. He'll take good care of you. We'll have him here. So bring your questions next week. 7 to 8 o'clock next Tuesday. We'll have him here to answer all of your small engine maintenance questions. Okay. We're also going to have a couple of other interesting topics to discuss that day as well. But yeah, that's it for today, man. Thanks for coming out, Shawn. Appreciate it, buddy. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate you. This stuff goes home with you. We got a little coffee mug and a little wireless charger in there for you. And then if you scan this QR code, you can go right to the website or the YouTube page to watch the video and stuff.
Thanks.
Thanks for Shawn to coming out today. If you guys have any chimney repairs that you need, he's been doing a lot of that recently. Or if you need roof repairs, give him a call. He'll see what he can do for you. He's always very helpful and always been there for us whenever we have inspection questions and things like that. Shawn, very useful, a resource for us, and we appreciate him. If you ever need him, give him a call. Lifetime Roof Chimney, Germantown. He's also up on our website. You can go on there and
West Bend as well.
Oh, West Bend. Yeah, there you go. But we do have a link to his website, and then we also have a telephone number for him where you can contact him, and he'd be happy to help you out.
Sure.
But yeah, thanks for coming out today, buddy. Thanks again for tuning in, you guys. It's always fun seeing you guys out here. Glad you guys could tune in today. Remember, always hit that subscribe button so you can help us out. Bell notification to help you out and help you know when our next video is coming out. Thumbs up if you like the content, you guys. If you have any ideas for content, drop it on the Helpful Home Inspector. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, drop it in there. We'll make sure to answer those during the live show. And we'll see you next week. Have a great one, you guys. Remember, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you.